All right, Dave, you wanna, do you mind running
Yep.
down the agenda and I'll
Yeah,
hit what we
sure.
need and whatever?
Yeah, the first item was identify next steps and actions on the flood action plan.
I got a little,
Incorporating committee review by June 9th, which we've done, sort of. And then the presentation to the council is coming up or at a work session on July 6th, and then formal resolution on the 13th.
right. I think that was part of the DNR grant that we had to get the council to go ahead and adopt that, and then we'll be good for the grant. So,
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, I think based, on what Ilana pointed out and what Luke pointed out here, we got still a little cleanup we need to do on the text. So we should probably send it back to Megan and say, can you clean up these typos or give
Yeah,
us the document so we can clean it up, or however that works.
Dave, Lauren sent an email today to the mayor, myself and Donnie and said that there was a few typos that she was gonna ask Bayland to correct and send back to us. And my suggestion was what you stated, that it goes before the council in July. I did ask her if she could provide any type of draft resolution that Bayland has worked with other municipalities so that I can send it to our legal counsel. It's always easier to work from something else than for them to have to recreate a document that possibly has to be in a certain format for grant purposes. So, I'm just waiting to hear back from her.
She did say that she sent those edits to Bayland.
Oh,
She
good.
sent a note that she sent them the edits, Dave, so that's
Okay, good.
that's ongoing.
All right.
So I have
we
a
can
question. now,
reach
when-
out. What I'll do too, I'm sure Megan will get back, but if she doesn't, Sasha from DNR should have maybe Stacy something too from another
Okay.
town.
Okay, I can also reach out to Sasha too and just send her an email.
And then, that's cool.
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'll wait, because the grant's gonna go through her anyway, so that'd be great.
But when you're talking about a grant, like, there's a lot of stuff on there. Do we have to decide like what?
No, I mean,
Don't we
the
have to
existing
decide
grant,
what
the
we're
money.
gonna look for? What we're gonna ask to be
No, I mean,
funded
for
first?
us, for the grant money that we received from them, that's part, not a new, from the grant that paid for the
Oh.
study. It's
The
part
new-
of
okay.
that it has to be adopted by the council.
Gotcha.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I've got a little bit of lag. I don't know if I have good service here or not, if you can hear me okay.
You do. You're a
That's
little
good.
bit lagging. You keep freezing up a little bit.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right,
So is there anything we need to do outside of the editorial cleanup and draft resolution, Donnie, before it gets to the working session?
I don't think so. Now, just make sure all the typos, like saying, clean that up and then, because, once we give that to the council, that's what they're gonna adopt as that document. So we just gotta make
Yeah.
sure everything's cleaned up and ready. But
Now, is the work session gonna be a mini presentation of it, or what's the drill, do you think?
Stacy can answer that better than me, but normally we'll just introduce it, said, because they're all a little bit familiar, because we, bring it up at every work session or council meeting and tell them the status. So I kind of give them an update and also put it in my report. But we can let them know that, Bayland's finished. We have the final plan. Stacy can say, if you want to read it, it's been posted, or we can email it to them. And then that'll give them the opportunity from them until the council meeting, that if you have any questions, they have a
Okay.
discussion. Usually they'll
Okay.
have a discussion, say, somebody make a motion, somebody second it. Is there any discussion? Then they can ask questions and then they'll vote on it.
Okay, thanks.
But if we bring it up at the work session, that gives them a couple weeks to email questions to us if they have any. But I don't see it being an issue.
Okay,
And hopefully some people will read it.
I hope so. Right.
Exactly.
Well, there's all about the next steps too. I mean, do you think there should be some sort of ask at the council for, I mean, other than just, here it is, and yeah, that's a nice plan. I mean, should we have some ask in front of them, about, we need to pursue X and we'd like to get, the ball rolling on this, or, is there something like that that?
I
Yeah.
was, yeah, I mean, I interrupted, but I was gonna let you know that I have, as another part of the meeting, but I've already had 2 engineers come down to look at the 9th Street. Because I talked a little bit about the mayor and looking at the study, from what he looked at it
Mhm.
already. He feels that 9th Street, 7th Street are critical to stop both types of flooding. So
Right.
that's kind of first on his priority list, I would think.
Yeah,
But what we can do is look at that plan and then come up with what we think. They gave us priorities, but then we can kind of, as a flood committee, that can be our next couple months worth of stuff, and then get a good list. And then we can, he also put some money in the budget for a grant writer. So then we can, start pointing everybody in the right direction with what their recommendations were, what grants are available. Luke, I know you've been working with Tom. Y'all can start looking at the rating and see what's what. But the mayor, he thinks, as I do too, really for the majority would be 9th and 7th Street would be the next 2 critical areas.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Those are absolutely the priorities coming out of the plan.
And I do just, I might as well go ahead and say now, I did have I've got a little bit of money in the budget. I've got some money in the budget this year, so I'm trying to get a price. I got Bayland, I got McCrone Engineering, and I have the same guy, Clark and Azar, who did 5th Street, giving me proposals. I was hoping to sign a proposal from one of those, the best proposal we get, so they could do the engineer with the money we have in the current budget. And then we put money in the FY24 budget to do the actual work at 9th Street.
9th Street and 7th, or just?
Just
9th?
9th Street because of the amount, and then we'll have to get, we'll have to see what we have left over and what kind of monies, and we have the relief money. And then the grants, what's available for 7, because I think 7 is gonna be a lot more expensive. 9th Street, we could probably do with our budget without a grant.
Okay. Are working off of Gary's plans that he drew up some months ago or is it something else, Donnie?
Basically, what we have at 9th Street, because to make it feasible and to make it work, and from what experience, I've had there, we did look at Gary's, but I think, we had, and I've got the engineer, and he read that, I gave him a copy of the draft report so they could get a better proposal to us. But with all that information, we're looking at mainly like increasing the pump size at 9th Street, like we did at 5th, upsize them as much as we can without going to BG&E and having a whole headache with them. So we're
Right.
looking at the current panel, the current electrical supply, seeing what size pumps we can go with and still fit in the existing wet well. And kind of like when we put 2 new pumps, new piping, new discharge point that'll be above that Jersey wall there. So it's the same kind of mirror image pretty much. And what was curious to me was that we had a great deal of flooding at 9th Street about a month ago. I don't remember the exact date. And we didn't have that much rain, but we must have had wind. It was on the weekend. But then we had the 2 inches of rain where the 5th Street pump station worked good. We didn't have any flooding. And we didn't have any flooding at 9th Street that day. So it's kind of weird to me why 9th Street flooded so much like about a month ago. And it didn't flood in 2 inches of rain.
Wasn't that a flange problem, Donnie?
We put 2 new flanges on there, but we pumped it all the way down and it didn't seal the pumps completely. It may have helped, but it didn't really take care of the problem. I think the pipe down inside the pit is actually worn out from the flange leaking so much. It kind of sandblasted the metal on the existing pipe in the wet well, and it's blown to where you don't have a good seal there, even with the new flanges, but it may have helped. New flanges might have helped. But it didn't, when you pump it down now, even with the new flanges on, the pumps still have blow by where it's not sealed completely there.
Any
So
time,
that's what,
I'm sorry, Donnie, any time frame
No.
on the engineering proposals that you have?
they
in mind?
have, well, they have to be signed before June 30th to be able to spend the money from this budget. So I have the one from Macron. I forwarded that to Lauren just for, because she's on the council actually, to give her kind of a
Yeah.
heads up. That was like incredibly expensive to me. It was $48,000. So, and I told the mayor, I was like, man, I almost told him what we needed or what we wanted. I want him to double check and verify, look at Bailey and study, but that seemed like a awfully large amount for, but that's our problem. I mean, I don't know, you probably know, Dave, and anybody who's been in the real world, that engineering, along with other prices now, have just gone to have, just to give you an example, and I'll send the committee that estimate, but I wanted to get all three estimates first before, somebody said we were talking about it and somebody got a lower price because the estimate got out, the price of it. But they had $2,100 in there just to do a pre-construction meeting. And me and Stacy did a pre-construction meeting with the engineer in about an hour and a half. Where I think you might have been there at the pre-construction for Fifth Street. I don't remember.
Yeah.
You were there that day. So, but they had $2,100 just for that. So I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, was
So-
the food good?
Right.
You
Exactly.
can't have
We
lap
do.
dances at those things,
Yeah, it's crazy,
Yeah.
but it's, and that's, I went to the Maryland Rural Water Conference and Macron was there, and this, Ryan Rangel, I'd worked with him before. So I said, Ryan, come down. I want you to take a look at the pump station. We need an estimate to do an upgrade. So he did a nice proposal, and he did a thorough proposal, but that's a lot of money to me. And we do have the same company, Clark and Azar, who did Fifth Street. I talked to him about it, so he's giving me one. He didn't do a very thorough job, but I mean, he did. We'll see what his price is. And then at Bayland, I contacted Bayland about a month ago, and I asked Megan if they could do that type of work, or if they had the capability or engineering staff to do a pump station upgrade. And she said, let me check with the president. I forget his name exactly, but and I talked to her yesterday, and she said, oh, I dropped the ball off completely. I did talk to him, but I forgot to get back to you, but she's supposed to give me something by the end of the week.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Good.
so I gave her like a general concept of what do we wanted to do. And she said they had an electrical guy, so they had the staff, they had the people to do it. So we'll see what those two come in at. And then, we can at least get the design phase rolling.
But basically, you're saying just kind of a mirror image of the system we have at Fifth Street, a pump and a variable switch and kind of control, and
Right.
you're hooked up to your iPad and you can, manage the distribute, the speeds and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because at 9th Street, when the waves come over the wall there, I don't think we could put anything there to stop that. But when it rains, I think if we went up, upsize the pumps, because right now those pumps are running and it's getting worse and worse. But they're probably pumping, they're designed to do 600 gallons a minute. They're probably pumping half their capacity just because of the blow by that's down in the pit. And what I see coming out of the district. So I think if we do a simple upgrade like we did at Fifth, I think that would go a long ways at solving. We wouldn't have to worry about rainwater nuisance type flooding there. When we get the wave action coming over the seawall, I don't think any pump
Yeah.
that
That's a different animal.
it's whole different. And we did, before I forget, Bob Gray had called me today. He went back up to Canada for the summer, but he had an idea he'd like to throw out there too, to the committee. Like if we didn't have room there and we couldn't put a third pump there, what's the possibility of adding another wet well in the Annapolis Avenue extension north of 9th Street, like kind of in the right away there by Jay's property. So that, and you could tap it into the 9th Street stormwater pipe there. So you'd have an inflow pipe coming into it. You would just have to put some kind of discharge pipe either out towards the street or over towards under the berm maybe or something. So that's a kind of a good, interesting possibility for a third pump if we needed another additional pump there.
Donnie, could I ask you a couple of questions? I don't want to take over the
Yes,
meeting.
sir.
So yeah, just quickly, you and I hadn't sat down. I met, and to bring everyone else up to speed as well, I met with the mayor last week and Lauren was unable to attend, but in short, you can't see it through my foggy screen. These are a pile of requests and needs that
Right.
that the town has talked about. Donnie's got about 20 of them, and he's given me a rough price on each of them so that we could potentially chase grants. Some are already in action, some are far away. But since you would give me that list, Donnie, maybe it's already been 3 months. Maybe I could just see what things ended up costing for a few of them and what you guys have approved for the budget. So that was a way of kind of bringing everyone up to speed with what we're going to try to chase, but also make sure they're accurate now that things are in the budget this year versus sort of thinking about chasing them through grants and things like that.
Right.
So now I don't want to do it here. It would take an hour, but
We can put out an email to the committee though. And if you want to get with me this week, we can, kind of
Yeah.
go over them real quick again. That'd be
yeah, I wanted
great.
to check with Lauren as well. I knew she couldn't make the meeting, but I did want to give it to her as well. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Please
I
look
think
for-
we'd all be like to see what that list, that updated stack of cards looked like. So
And these are asks from the community, Tom?
Well,
or-
no, I'd say they're more accurately. I met with the department heads. That was the task at hand. So met with Donnie. Donnie kind of gave me his wish list and what the projected cost would be. Lisa and Phil, Dawn, and Rick Crump. And if I'm missing anyone, I apologize. But it was sort of hey, if you had your druthers, tell me something that's kind of needed soon. And some of those are as big as the revetment. That's phase 2, things like that. But the idea is to kind of plot them out and see when we can apply for them, when funding's available, things like that. And I made a grant deadline, which grants best to go after for
Right.
different projects. But
And I assume all these have to do with flood related stuff, right?
no, not necessarily. It really was a matter of using like Rick's example. There's some trees that need to come down around the town. That's got nothing to do with flooding, but
No,
I'm just sharing it with the group because Donnie's list was easily more than 50 to 60%, which is what you guys talk about more than anything else. So
yeah, well, sir, send us the flooding stuff.
Okay.
The trees, I don't know,
yeah,
don't know. trees.
well, I think it's also good to know what the community's needs are so we can see how to work with them. I know that
Right.
with the plan that we just got the final copy on, there are there's some things working together rather than separately. There are benefits of I kind of that
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right, because like in the plan, 7th Street, you got some things there. If you do it 7th Street, that'll help you out at 9th Street and help you out at, Bay Avenue and things like that. So they tie together. And then we have, like Tom was saying, we kind of got a general price on items and we thought what we could afford. And we thought we made up lists on what we can mail that out. It's like what definitely has to be a grant and what maybe could be put into the normal, or the capital budget.
right.
So we had some capital budget items that we could afford, like 9th Street Pump Station. That's what I was saying earlier, Dave. That's something if we put, we know now that we did 5th Street, we got a ballpark idea what the pumps would cost, what the control panel would cost.
Right.
And I think that's something that the town could afford without having to wait on grant funding and go through that application process and everything else.
I got you.
But we will update in that way. The flood committee can know, like take that study and then start to run with what we
Apply
see.
things. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
apply it to different things, right?
Yeah. Cool. Last item, before we end the subject, Donnie, I saw the mayor's, Lauren sent around the mayor's letter, which I just read before we got on. Nice job on that. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, I think that'll go a long way. And, then a lot of people, because they cry and they want the money, whatever, but I thought that was a great idea to send a follow-up, thank you type letter like that, because that, that makes, I'm sure that would make them feel good and look good. Hopefully they read it and take the time to acknowledge it. So that'd be great. That was good. And I appreciate all the hard work the flood committee did too. Because that was you, and like say Dave and the rest, everybody did a lot of work to get this thing where it's at. So that's great.
Yeah. Any update on the plans for the demo of the 5th Street, Donnie?
Lauren had put in there the 11th of July and that I looked and I guess that's our next meeting. So if you want, we can do an on-site meeting and just, run through the 5th Street pump station. If that's good with everybody.
Works with me. Are we gonna invite anyone else? I mean,
I
is
told
this
him,
to invite? I mean, it's not like it's it's not like it's a ribbon cutting or anything, but, you know,
anything that, and then this is definitely, it's recorded, but it's at this meeting with these people because we didn't pull an MDE permit and everything else, so I kind of don't want to, I told Lauren, I said, you got to kind of be careful depending on, we didn't do anything wrong, but we put 2 pumps into where 2 pumps were at. We upgraded the station, did a lot of stuff, but we're pumping stormwater into the bay there, so
I
you know,
got you.
I don't know how big of a deal or who that you really would want to invite or not.
Understood.
Right.
Understood. Understood. Well, Donnie, we talked about the agenda item on the 5th, the 7th and 9th Street pumps. And we talked about the communications with Senator Jackson and other VIPs, which was done. I don't know if the mayor has anything else in mind on that. And the other 2 items that we have on the agenda for that are an update on any FEMA applications, Tom, and then planning what, our summer barbecue for flood committee friends and members.
I have no updates. Most likely they would go to Stacy or Joanne, probably Joanne first, but I didn't get anything yet, so sorry, no news is no news.
Right. And I just want to say too, the mayor, we were kind of talking 7th and 9th Street, but don't let committee members, I don't want you to feel like we're making the decisions. So if you see something important in there, feel free to email or bring it up. You know what I mean, too? If you like that's not we're not railroading that that's what it's got to be, but that's what the study kind of said, and we kind of agree with that. So, and we had money available. So I just want everybody to understand that. We had
Right.
already had 9th Street in the budget. We had $20,000 from State Highway from the road raising there anyway. So I thought, with the engineering, maybe that 20 would cover it. And then we got that price. I'm like, what? But I had 100,000 in the 23 budget for 9th Street anyway, and we just didn't get to it because of 5th and everything else. And that's kind of the priority list kind of listed those 2 up top. So that's why we kind of, they were more feasible than other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's good priorities.
Yeah, it kind of affects a lot of people. It affects like 3 or 4 blocks down there when 9th Street floods and gets 2 feet of water in it. So it makes sense to me.
Good. 7th Street, like I said, that's gonna be a little trickier because we have to actually sink a wet well somewhere there. So, but
Yeah.
that's what I would say would be, because once we get 9th Street pretty much squared away, then you still have the stormwater that could come back in through the system at 7th Street. So that's gonna have to be addressed sooner than later.
In terms of proceeding with the recommendations from Bayland, these pump upgrades are certainly fall in line and meet some of those requirements. But in terms of, as the flood committee, how do we determine, some of those high priority things are way expensive, and so how do you actually take their recommendations, then turn it into an action plan?
I think that's where, that's a good question. And the ones that are really high, I think that's where we need, like the flood committee probably needs to look at saying, okay, well, this is $4 million. We definitely need grant money here. So then we need to start looking for, we know we can't do it, but we might need to put some money in engineering because we have, we have their concept plan. I don't know how far that would go, but at least we have that for a grant. But do we have enough there? And can we hire an engineer to finish the concept plan? And then, do a concept plan, and then have a construction set of plans ready to bid. But I think, that kind of stuff is what the flood committee needs to look at. Say, this is $4 million. We know we're going to need grants here. So let's see what grants become available. Move to the next project. Okay, this is, 300,000. This might be doable. Let's try to lobby the council to put this in the budget for 24 or 25. Or let's see if we can get some relief money for this one. That's what we need to look at what they did. and see, like you said, exactly the price tags and then what's feasible or not. And then
Yeah.
if it's not feasible, start looking at the grants, what's available and how do we go about getting that money.
That
Senator
makes
Jackson
sense.
probably be helpful in this area as well. I mean, certainly Mike can, when he does have a conversation with him, or there's some follow-up, say, Senator, give us your direction. We've got, several projects that have been identified. They're multi-million dollars, what's your recommendation? How do we pursue it? And he might give us some good direction.
I wouldn't even be opposed to emailing, I don't know if a staff member of his might read it or whatever, or, emailing him the report that Bayland did for us.
Yeah, I think that's
You
great.
know, say, hey, this is, we just got a great grant from DNR, really appreciate it again, blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah, I agree with that.
yeah, Bayland Consultants came up with this. This is a project list and we know we're going to need funding for some of these items. Here's the, plan that they have came up with it for. So at least
Yeah.
put that on their radar too. And then they can see those projects. That's where we're gonna be bugging old Tom. Now that we have the plan, like I say, the next meeting, if we want to, like I say, I think it would be almost good to have a sit down. Maybe, I know the summertime's tougher, but have a meeting at town hall again, maybe, or Public Works or wherever, and say, okay, now we got the plan, really look at it, create a list and create those, use Bayland's budget numbers and say, okay, how do we do this now?
I
Yeah,
agree. Yeah.
I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, just so you kind of have your list, your wish list, and you have your schedule of when grants are available, but
Right.
that's a little different. Like you said, talking to Senator Jackson, that he's got his own schedule, his own priorities. Fine with me. We don't need to wait around.
right. And so we can put it all together anyway, we got the pieces.
Yeah.
Now sit down and actually start putting them together, maybe.
I apologize. I missed it. Was Lauren unable to make it today? Or she?
Yeah, she had an email me late and
Okay.
I think Teddy, her son, he's going to a trip to Africa. She was getting him
All
ready.
right. Well,
Yeah, to ship him out. So,
okay. What did he do
No.
wrong?
yeah.
Is he being punished or what?
No, I think it's like a cool
It's a-
trip. Actually,
it's
he's
a
going over and
school
doing
trip,
some
yeah.
volunteer work or whatever, digging some irrigation trenches. Because I asked her, I said, what's he going safari hunting? And he said, no, he's volunteering to dig some irrigation trenches and do some other type work there, volunteer work. So,
Well,
Terrific.
yeah, it sounds like a cool
Yeah.
trip. Right.
I've had my
That's great.
19-year-old nephew under my control for 3 weeks. It feels the same way.
You can, then maybe he can go along, right? No.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
And,
Did Lauren say where in Africa?
no, she didn't say. No, she didn't.
Kenya.
Kenya.
Kenya, nice.
Oh, really?
Good one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but, all right, well, does anybody, I know like in July, it could be hot at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I don't mind, but I'm just thinking out loud, but it might be fine because we had a cool summer so far. But if we do the demo out on the beach at 3, does everybody go with that for the July 11th date, you think?
Works for me.
Sure.
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought it may be okay, but just cool. It's easier to keep it that way instead of changing.
Right.
Man, I'm really looking forward to seeing the pump station. So
Mhm.
And so I know
Sounds good.
ever since we finished, I think we've had the driest weather. We had rain. Now we got the pump station completed, ready to go. We had 1-2 inch rain. We put it online, but I think it's probably been the driest spring and summer that we had so far for the last 5 years. But whatever it takes, right? Whatever works to keep it dry.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Anyone have any thoughts for the committee barbecue? Yes.
Thoughts meaning,
Like what?
meaning,
I'm
Like-
pro barbecue.
When,
what do
where?
we want? What do we want Donnie to cook for us?
Well, Lauren did say to make it at the Public Works shop so we can keep it, so everybody doesn't have to drive or whatever. So, and I don't mind, and I don't mind cooking at all.
BW.
Huh? I mean, that's just what Lauren said. I don't care. I'm open to whatever everybody wants to do, and I definitely can cook for it.
All right, so we'll do it. It's a DPW, okay. All right.
Lauren was just saying because, driving wise, that way maybe everybody can make it easier. But it doesn't
We can just
matter.
we can all bring something.
You could also
Yeah.
make it a weekday. I don't know, a Friday instead of I don't know, Donnie, but
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
open to any ideas.
whatever. works.
I'll let the committee plan that and I'll show up.
Someone want to volunteer to be in charge?
That's a good idea.
I will.
Do we know when we're talking or?
No? We
Said
need a-
July.
Not yet.
Oh, I thought we were talking July 11th, not necessarily.
No, that's just for the demo of the pump
That's
station.
the pump
That's
station.
I don't know why I thought you were,
That'd be our
I got
regular-
the two conversations mixed up.
All
So
big
the-
party.
So the barbecue's at DPW, but day to be determined.
And you
Sure.
can pick your own place too. It doesn't have to be at DPW. I was thinking more like, Wetlands Overlook Park because it's grass and it's nicer there and whatever. But
Right, it's all the same neighborhood.
Mhm.
yeah, right.
Well, we don't want to burn down another shed as well. so, Yeah, not,
Yeah.
I haven't got that
too-
one fixed
too
yet.
soon? Okay.
No grills, no grills.
Well, I can,
Yeah.
I can help you, Carol, or I could be your assistant in planning if you need. Okay.
Okay, well, I guess the first thing we need to do is figure out a date.
Right. Yeah, maybe
Well,
we'll,
do people want to do it like on a weekend day, or do you want to do like it on a weeknight? Is that what you said, Tom? Like do it on a weeknight?
Oh, I was just
Guys,
trying
for-
to be, to selfishly benefit Donnie, who's kind of seems like tends to be the host if he's working on a Friday anyway, like make
Right.
it Friday at 3 and then, like I said, I don't want to turn it into somebody else's party, but you got your crew there too, Donnie. I mean, whatever,
It's not a bad idea.
but it's not my expense account, so I'm not
Yeah.
so.
Like
Nice.
on a
I'm-
Friday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, I was even, if you want to take it further, if everyone's got one person they want to try to recruit to the committee. I mean, it doesn't, it certainly can be in-house and a thank you, or you could turn it into a kind of let the community know who you are sort of thing. But like I said, I'm not looking to
That's
hijack
not a
the
bad
theme of
idea
what we're
either.
doing.
All right.
all right, so maybe
Yeah, I
we
like
can
that, Tom.
come up with some.
Yeah, so I kind of like that idea.
Couple of
too.
dates.
All right,
So-
wait, can I stop you real quick? Are you all like the idea of opening it up to the community to let them know who you are?
I'm not
If you
sure.
I don't-
Just let me
Stacy, are you
stop you.
changing our mind?
I don't want to change your mind, because if you do that and you offer food, then you have to follow health department regulations and get a special event permit. I
Yeah.
really. do
Never
not
mind.
We're
think-
not doing that. We're not doing
Yeah.
that.
No.
I
Dumb
didn't-
idea, dumb idea, Tom. I don't know what you're thinking.
That was,
Okay.
that was Tom. We weren't listening to him anyway.
Nah,
Yeah.
We're
I mean, you
just
could
trying
do
to be-
that another time and not serve food, absolutely, but
okay.
you don't want to
Yeah.
get anyone sick, and then that's a whole nother ball game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Glad you're on there, Stace.
thank you.
Absolutely, that's why I'm here.
Party
I'm here to
pooper.
keep Tom straight.
There you go.
Party pooper.
We can come up with the recruitment plan later.
Tell Tom to stay with the grants.
That's right.
You just,
Yeah.
He
Y'all
does a
just
great
got-
job.
I
gotta
like
go
to
out in the
eat. I just
neighborhood.
want everyone to eat.
Well, you gotta go out in the neighborhood after the party and tell them how great parties we have. You ought to get on the flood committee. You really missed a great cookout. You could have been there if you're on the committee.
Good call.
Is there any particular week that everyone has a vacation plan this summer, or a week that doesn't work? That's probably the easiest. Do you want it to be hot? Do you want it to be cooler and a little bit in September?
I wanted summer, right?
You want it summer?
Do you guys want it
Yeah.
summer? September seems like it's a ways away.
Yeah. Stuff always happens in September. People are doing stuff, you know.
Hurricane season's upon us too.
Ah,
Don't talk that.
Yeah. You
Pick a
know,
Friday, just pick a random Friday and see what everyone
Alright.
says.
July
you got-
7th.
That's first
the
Friday,
first-
no.
Pick up
No.
first Friday, then we can go right down to the first Friday. after
No.
the-
How about the 21st?
Just send around an email, Carol, if you want, and then everybody can chime in.
All right,
But 21st is a good lead. Yeah, sure.
all right. Off the top of our heads, nobody screamed about the 21st. Well, all right, we'll send an email with a couple of date options.
June
All right,
or
email-
July.
July.
You can sign up to bring stuff too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do a list. Yep.
Some date options and some sign on. We'll just have people bring things, right? We're not gonna go do the whole grilling thing and just having people bring things.
I got a nice big grill I just commandeered, so I don't mind bringing that up.
At DPW?
Yeah, well, I got it at the house, but it's easy. It's on wheels. So I probably wouldn't mind cooking something decent for us on that.
Sure.
I'll take care of the meat and then y'all have all the sides.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Okay.
But let me know like who can't eat. I know Dave, we gotta get chicken,
Yeah, sorry.
which is not a problem. I like chicken too.
Okay, we could just do chicken.
Yeah,
Who doesn't like chicken?
Donnie can do some beer can chicken.
yeah, that's a good idea. I just haven't wanted to see them again.
Okay,
I'll help you, Donnie, with, what the town can provide and things like
Okay,
that.
cool.
Hear that part.
Sounds good.
All we got, Donnie.
Sounds good. Well, thanks a lot for all your work on everything. Believe me that we got a lot done with this committee, so that was great. And get that flood plan now. Hopefully we can follow through. And I'm really glad that this street actually works. Seemed like it so far. I don't want to say too
works.
much yet, but
Works great. Works
so
great.
far so good, right?
During the last 2-incher, I was sitting out on my deck watching the thing. So I can tell you it was
Didn't even go to high level. So that
no,
was-
no,
Yeah,
no.
that was
Terrific.
that was a good thing.
Are all the pumps running at that time, Donnie, or?
All three of them did run. I didn't look on the, because I never got a high level. But all of them ran that day, like 12 hours or so. So, one comes on, if it can't keep up, the other kicks on. If that can't keep up, then the third one kicks on. So all three of them did run. So I'm sure they were all running at one time. But the third pumps out under the pier, so you won't see, you only see the two discharging right there at the beach, and the third one goes out into the existing line that was already there. The diesel pump did not run, the big diesel, but the 3 electric ran.
Would the diesel have kicked on if it needed to?
Yes,
Okay,
that's still good for if we lose power, so. But I think that's going to become a main function of that pump is if we have a power issue, then we have a diesel, at least to do something.
Mhm. Yeah.
But-
And the beast.
Yeah, no, that worked out good.
Yep.
That was one question, not to digress, but that was one question that the engineer had about 9th Street. But I just don't know where we'd put it, and I know we get more complaints from the noise and looks, and it's not much room down there to put a backup pump. Or a generator even, for that matter, because they were talking really about a generator, but the problem is it's just not the room down there.
the only thing would be is if we have another storm like Isabel where they cut the electric off to the whole area.
Right.
I guess it won't make much difference anyway at that point.
Now, if it gets that bad, we're cutting the pumps off too. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Good to see
All right.
everybody.
Yep, good to see y'all.
All
We'll
right.
see
See
you
y'all.
Thanks.
in a
Hope
couple
you're
weeks.
enjoying your
Bye,
summer.
everybody.
Continue, and see you at the pump station demo, I guess.
All right.
Yep,
And then
Bye.
what,